Hola, buenos dias. Welcome. ¿Cómo estás ustedes? All that. We are here at BPM, Black Power Media. That's right, and this is the Remix Morning Show. I am the Ear Doctor, coming straight out of Mexico. All right, so let's go. Let me introduce you to our host. We have no other than Senor Dr. Jared Moore. Yes. Man, that's one of the hardest ever right there.
That joint is a banger, son. And it's about rebellion.
Yes. El Preso.
I love that joint. El Preso.
Like Joe Ayero.
Yeah, let's go. What's up, good people?
Hey, we out here.
What's happening? Me and you today?
Let's get it. E2. That's right.
Yo, también, you know what I mean? Solamente en la mañana, you know what I mean? Let's go.
That's right. We taking it bilingual on y'all. I ain't even know. That funky lingo.
Un poquito, un poquito español, mi compañeros y compañeras. Vamos.
Arriba.
All right now. Yeah. Hold up. Somebody's here to save us, though.
It's
Somebody's here to
Lucretia
save us.
Williams.
Good morning.
Back
I don't know about that.
In that fly grad school crib.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She came up.
You know, just did a little remodeling, the week. Yeah, wasn't here. Good morning.
How good.
What's happening?
How the midterms go?
They went fine. They went
Yikes.
fine.
Uh-oh.
They
Yikes.
went, we got it done.
Nice. All right, so we got a dope show today. I'm happy to see y'all. Last week was looking kind of rough, but y'all got through it.
Yeah, it was rough.
But I'm Bidak. Had a great time. Got my little tan on. You know what I'm saying? Got a didn't really want to come back, but I said, the people need us.
So I love that you had DJ B Love on Sunday, and that was very dope. And people should go check that out. It was amazing. But I would like to hear some more about this trip.
Okay.
This international DJ symposium joint.
So, big up to DJ B Love. She came through. I do not think that people gonna be able to watch it because he played a bunch of songs that was copyright. And so they pretty much snagged it down. But we're gonna see about getting it out somewhere. Probably drop it in Patreon or something. But the trip was good. I had a great time. It was top tier. It was basically a convention about hospitality. All the people in the hospitality industry. When you're talking about people that do invitations, people that do the gifts, people that do the event planning, all these people coming together that's like top tier on a certain level and want to deal with other people that's top tier. So it was called the Inner Circle. So it was cool. I learned some things, and really it's about networking. They see you do your work. I DJ'd. I spun out on the beach. It was real dope. And then they want to be like, yo. So next year, I believe it's in Italy. I'll be bringing us out there for that. So
wow.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So BPM in Italy. So we're gonna do something out there.
We're gonna do something out in Italy. You know what I mean?
I mean.
But
why are you being stingy?
We'll see if Italy's ready for BPM. Big up to all my Italianis.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty dope. But I'm you can't be on vacation for too long ready to get back to work. I was ready to get back. You see, even doing the show while y'all was doing, I was still like
in the chat, producing.
All in the chat.
All in the chat.
Don't come to BPM because you want your producer.
All up in the videos.
I'm
All up in
saying,
the chats.
look what happened. You know,
Was it that bad? I missed it.
it
I
wasn't
feel out of
bad.
the loop.
It
I
wasn't
wasn't.
that bad.
Nah, it
See,
wasn't bad.
see, ear
I was
doctor.
just talking. I was just trying to make myself feel better. People in the chat was making me feel good, saying how much I was missed. So I enjoyed that.
Oh, you were missed. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. It was. I didn't say it was great. I just said it wasn't that bad. You definitely are missed, and so but you know, we do what we can. We muddle through as much as possible. So
Y'all got to the news and everything. I seen y'all. I mean,
got to the news.
Y'all did pretty good, I must say. I mean, I don't know how much I need to be on here.
Please. See, he got himself a new job and already talking about trying to slide out of here. You ain't slick. You don't need me.
I get full 5-minute mixes here, doctor. Come on now.
I see the numbers going up when I wasn't on screen. I was like, hey, this might be something. So
nah,
it
that's not how it. They were all wondering when you were coming back. That's what it was. But I see what you're trying to pull here. You're not slick.
See that?
You gotta watch these Jersey cats, man.
Oh, hey,
they always up to something.
A little bit. So, what's going on with y'all? Enough about me.
I'm just BPMing these days. I mean, I teach my classes, drive my kids where they need to go, and then I do BPM. So there's a lot of great content that I've helped produce. There's great content our comrades have produced. You got to go watch the Chuck D interview that Kalanji did yesterday, where unbelievably, Chuck, and I even tweeted at them, like Chuck said the most wild nonsense I've ever heard in my life. And had to call him out. And Chuck, I'm calling you out again. Why? And Kalanji, I'm calling out Kalanji too, because Kalanji ain't say nothing.
What?
Yeah.
What'd he say?
Chuck D came out his face and said something akin to Dr. John Henrik Clarke was not really a great speaker. And was just, he just kind of talked something to that effect. And Kalanji didn't check him. And I was like, that is absurd. Blasphemy.
Could he be looked at as a great communicator and not a speaker? Because
I thought he was a great speaker. I thought, and I said, and what I said in the tweet was, how can the man who had the bar, more beef, Elon, and I'm beefing with Chuck, I'm beefing with Kalanji over this, I'm calling everybody beef.
It was about Bible Clark.
But how could Clarke, who had the best, again, the best panel bars in history of panels, who said, I only debate my equals, all others I teach. How could someone, who wrote poetry, who helped co-author the OAAU charter with Malcolm X on his living room floor, who wrote endless books and essays, who taught endless classes, who gave endless lectures, how could it be said that this man was not, see, Kalanji, I'm calling you, I'm saying, beef, take it to the stage. And Kalanji didn't say boo, just let it go. I said, stop it.
You can't talk about Bible Clark like that, yo. But, you do got certain people that could drop bars that are good teachers and professors, but might not be the best speakers, that might not have that.
Watch your mouth.
Okay. I'm trying.
In all sincerity, you're right. Honestly, that's true. I actually do think, though, that Clarke, I think he was better than Chuck was giving him credit for. But did he explain himself in the tweet? Oh, I had to go check it. I didn't see it. I got to go back and check my tweet, check my timeline, damn it. Chuck. No, but the interview, you got to see the interview. It's dope. It's always good to hear from Chuck, even admittedly when we sometimes disagree or feel like he's not doing what we want him to be doing. It's always good to see him. I think, so that was dope. I do have that slight issue though with the Clarke line though. I think that was a little bit out of pocket. Other than that, we could. But that said though, the point I was really getting at, there's been a lot of great stuff on the platform. So it's almost
top
hard
5
to keep
speakers.
up with.
What about Diop? Is he? What would you
Check
consider
into Diop?
Yeah.
honestly, I can't comment because I would have to. I've only seen him lecture in clips, and it's all in French, so I couldn't assess it. I'm monolingual, unfortunately, so I would have to go maybe by vibe if I don't understand.
So what would we say as being Black
Kwame
Americans?
Ture is top.
Okay,
I think he set a standard for a public speaker. I think. Like, I don't know. My brother is in the chat, and all bias aside, all serious and all jokes aside, my brother Jamil in the chat is one of the best speakers I've ever seen. And yeah, I mean, no cap, no family bias or whatever, or family bias aside, whatever. But he is a phenomenal speaker.
What did he spit it like a preacher, or what is it?
It's a funny preacher style. It's like that's how I would describe it, and it's not doing him justice. But if and again, I'm as a non-believer, when I can go and see someone give a sermon or a political speech, as he has also done, and I'm moved by it, credit to the speaker. You know what I mean? And and my brother had me ready to go out to the ATM to donate to the nation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like
But okay, so then you
I know people are getting the humor in here, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not actually accusing Kalaji of having him be disrespected, right?
Nah,
okay.
It ain't that serious.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Like, cause sometimes the chat lose. And y'all not gonna take my humor away from me in this revolution, God damn it.
We need some of that right now. So much crazy going on.
I'm gonna have but yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So no, I was just about to say. So Martin Luther King has a phenomenal speech, as people said in the chat room. Malcolm X, and then as in the sisters, who would you say was one of the hardest sisters to spit? You know who
the hardest sister I've seen. Sister Soldier's up there, but you know who's the hardest I've ever seen spit live is Mama Marimba. Marimba Ani is a monster as a presenter. You know who else I used to really like, and folks maybe in DC would appreciate this more, but the late Barbara Sizemore. I used to have her as a clip of her on my radio show intro. I thought she was very good as a public speaker. But there's more. I think, there's obviously a lot more people, period, and people today. I mean, I think people today that even we've worked with around here. Pam Africa, I think, might be my favorite living public speaker.
Speaking of great speakers, come out, Kate Franklin.
He is pretty good. He is. I hate to admit it. He is pretty good. I hate to admit it. He's pretty good, and it's worse because I'm not. Like I'm, and it would be all right to praise him if I said I was good too, but I'm not. So
well, you know what you're talking about. You all right, Jared?
Again, I know my lane. Yeah. Classrooms, long form presentations, lectures, I'm pretty good. But if you got it, but a rally, move the crowd.
Oh, this brother.
No notes.
Right Dr. Khalid Muhammad was one of
Khalid Muhammad.
Yeah. I agree.
Ooh,
I saw him in college.
And wow, yeah.
He came. I didn't know much about it, but I had folks standing up, fist pumping. Like the Jewish students came to protest, and he did not back down one iota. And I'm not saying I agree with everything he said in terms of his rant. But when someone's a good speaker, half the time it don't matter what's coming out their mouth. It don't matter. More about the delivery. Yeah, it's even like it's a rap artist. It's a hip hop artist.
Yeah.
Half the time it's like the flow, and he was flowing, and it was just like, damn,
And I like the defiance piece. Like, I like that part, even if I don't agree with what they're saying. If they just giving it to the crowd and it's like, it's what? I'm like, yeah.
Farrakhan, is he in the top 10, top 5?
Farrakhan's
not mine, but he is. But I wouldn't. He wouldn't be in my top 5 or 10. But I saw a shout out to Dr. Ava Muhammad, the late Ava Muhammad. She was nice.
We're we talking
Claudia
about.
De La Cruz. Yeah, sorry, my
Oh,
bad. I'm
yeah,
reading the
yeah,
chat. Yeah.
Now we talking about not what they talking about, not their content, but we talking about their flow, how they cadence.
Yeah. I wasn't judging the minister on. I'm not
Okay.
judging any content today. I'm saying I'm just being.
Lucretia, who you got?
I'm thinking of The Voice. I love listening to
Sean Blackman.
Me?
Sean Blackman.
Cornel.
No. But
Well,
you
I'm
are
a-
good too, especially for rallies. I like your sound bites.
You
To
know
be
what I don't
angry
like
in
Sean for though?
bites. What?
What I don't like The Voice for is that he ain't responded to my text yet, inviting him to the platform.
Oh.
So I'm calling him out. It's all
Well.
beef today. I'm calling out everybody.
Oh.
So
no.
Sean.
I'll let you
somebody.
handle that.
Yeah, but no, he.
Oh, somebody mentioned Jaribu Hill. Jaribu is a good speaker.
Yep,
I don't know
yep.
who Jaribu is. She's a Mississippi lawyer, organizer for a long time. She's like I guess this I see more. Mamira does this, like my friend Mamira, and now I've seen some other folks who they'll sing a song, they'll do some sort of spiritual, and then bam, they'll go into their speech. And I feel like that's a little unique. Yeah, when folks do that, particularly when they can sing, they can bust a tune, and then they can go into like a preacher speech method. Is like, oh damn,
yeah.
It's slick too because it's disconcerting a little bit too because they come with that sweet voice and they start beating you up with the intellect, and you're like, damn, I didn't think.
It softens your heart. You slide in. Yeah. It's a tactic.
Rafiki Morris is nice. He's I saw that, but yeah, who would be my?
So we're gonna have to do
I gotta
a top
think about
5,
that.
top 10
Yeah, I like
best
that.
speakers. I always do that. But
And who you've seen live, I think, would be another category. Like, unfortunately, I never saw Clark live. I showed up to an event and he didn't make it that day. He was sick. I never saw Teray live.
There's some people I've not seen Teray live either, but I keep hearing. I mean, even the videos are just crazy. So,
oh man, I got
He's spit.
hours of lecture tapes. I listen to his stuff all day.
Clark is
but
amazing.
yeah.
Blind Clark was amazing. I saw blind Clark. He was amazing. Couldn't see shit. Sat there, bam, amazing.
he said as long as he has insight, he doesn't need
The
eyesight.
guy gave me a look. I can't say he couldn't see shit.
That's right. That's right.
So somebody made a joke about Tim Wise, but if we're not judging content, I actually have seen
It has
Tim
a lot
Wise.
to do with his speaking ability. If he can't see, because you can't read the crowd. You know what the crowd is doing.
That's like saying Stevie Wonder.
Exactly. Thank you, Get.
Stevie Wonder wasn't blind though.
I'm sorry to have this argument off air, but it has a lot to do with whether or not you can look at the
It's got to be
crowd.
on there,
I
Yeah.
love it. Ed Get was just I love it. That's
All right. You gonna
So-
get some
so Ed
hot
Get is
grits, you
saying
gonna get some hot
that-
grits thrown on you. Keep it up.
yeah, careful. Don't get Al Greened.
Al
Don't get
Greened?
Al Greened. Not live on air.
Gotta clip
That
that.
would be good for numbers though.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. They don't do grits in Ethiopia. What do they do?
They don't do grits. I don't know. Something hot. They cook something.
Hot
Something's
injera.
hot.
Hot and Jared,
Hot
like
injera.
the Red's gonna put some hot bread on me.
And Jared slap.
Just
Yeah.
slap with it.
That's funny.
All right.
Jeremiah Wright. He was nice.
Oh, Jeremiah.
Oh man, yeah.
He was
Oh,
so
when he
nice.
died-
He got himself in trouble. Not playing. Go ahead.
No, I was
He
gonna say,
was too
Jeremiah-
nice.
He was good. The speeches that I saw, obviously, when it came out, when Obama, I'm sure Obama was there, he was ducking in the pew. If they had one videotape of Obama at the service when he was doing, and he was and he stood up or applauded, he would have lost that election because they would have. He got so lucky that there was no videotape evidence.
It was
of him.
just the era just before that all got hot. He's very lucky.
Yeah, but
one more generation later, and they would have had
he
all
would
the
have been
tape.
so busted. He would have been because he was probably jumping up. But I was going to say but he did a retort at I think it's with the press room in DC or something like that. I can't remember. But then he was just being silly. So it brought him down in my eyes because it was more like he was like a 60-year-old dude to a 70-year-old dude, kind of trying to like throw barbs and stuff like that, as opposed to just being an eloquent defense of himself. I was he was slapping high fives after he answered a question from the press. So it was just like,
Oh wow,
you're a little too happy there with the attention.
he got a little brother polite-ish.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, did you see? Speaking of good speakers, so first of all, I agree. Tim Wise, I have by accident seen him live, and I thought Tim Wise was actually good.
Is that the
as
white
a
boy?
speaker? The white boy.
Okay.
He is a good speaker. I'm not saying I agree with what he's saying or whatever, but he's a good speaker. He was compelling. He held the crowd. But
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones. I was gonna say
He got
yeah,
some
Jim
motivation.
Jones,
He
that's
must
messed
have
up.
been captivating. He
Oh,
must have
man,
been.
God.
That's messed up.
Alton Maddox, he was also scary.
Alton Maddox.
You people that literally for his militancy, I was like, I might have to leave the room here. He's like, I think he's about to whatever. Alton was serious with his shit. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back with some more leaders.
Oh, man, I have one more. Okay. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
See, y'all got to stay around and find out what else they got to talk about. We're going to take that break right here on the Remix Morning Show.
I gotta.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you can know all the different things coming here on Black Power Media. We got a bunch of dope shows. And speaking of a bunch of dope shows, I wanted to take y'all back in case y'all missed some of these dope shows that came on this week. Speaking of, let's first start off with, as we said, RSTV, where they had my man Chuck D, Kalanji Jamachanga, was interviewing him. Let's check it out.
When you all put this thing together, you came with creative resistance. You came with exactly what you was talking about. How difficult was that? And did you think that you were going to be able to tap into the arenas, literally the arenas that you have tapped into globally? Coming up out of LA.
Pretty much, because we didn't all of that is true and correct. We didn't set out to be the architects of it. The architecture and the blueprint was already made. Run DMC was already doing arenas. You might see Run DMC in our first tour, Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, and they played the old New Haven Arena at that time, not too far.
I already know. Yeah. I was there. Houdini, all those folks. Yeah.
Man, that was a good interview. Y'all got to go check that one out. And speaking of interviews, good ones, let's go back to Saturday where we had Saturdays. We had Claudia De La Cruz come and speak with Jared and Renee. Let's check it out.
There's a lot of important things happening. It's been the worst, like a horrific 21 days for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I guess the broad question I had, at least initially for you, was just to say, what is your campaign's response to these most recent developments in Palestine and elsewhere in the world, and how does your campaign situate? Do you think your campaign situates for us the way we should go forward?
All right, go check that out and find out what she's going to tell y'all about her campaign. And last but not least, let's go to Black Myths, where they had two people to interview right here, where Two Black was talking about October the 7th. And what were they talking about? Let's check it out.
So when we come to what happened on October 7th, and I keep saying what happened, but like, how should we first, just if either one of y'all could actually just describe that, because I think it's interesting to hear y'all actually explain that day, however you see it, because even the way that gets framed after everything we've said and the way the media describes it today, the mainstream media completely negates anything y'all have said over the last hour or so.
All right. Go check that one out, too. We got a bunch of dope shows in case you didn't know, so go check them all out right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's get back to our crew. You know how we do. Yeah.
Right on.
Bunch of dope programming here on BPM in case y'all didn't know. We got a mute button going over there. I guess Kamal's talking to us. So.
And more coming, too. Go ahead.
No, I was going to compliment like seeing Chuck D. I don't get enough Chuck D. So to have him on Black Power Media was amazing, and to think that they might be doing a series together, that he's going to speak to Kalonji ongoing, stuff like that. Like Chuck D is one of those folks that I always like to hear more from. So yeah, no, that was quite good.
Not in those PBS and Hulu series. That's why this is good news for me, because I don't like I'm not a fan of the contributions that he's limited to make in those series. So this was a nice. This is what I love.
Because it was long form. Yeah, because it was long form.
Well, also he's invited to lean into his politics more, as opposed to trying to keep it. Kalonji's going to obviously invite him into to areas of thought that he's not going to be encouraged on PBS elsewhere and whatever. So that's very dope, and I hope they do. Yeah.
Big up, brother. Supporting BPM is imperative. Let us unite and fight for our freedom. I'm willing. $9. Good looking, brother Jamil.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Big bro.
All right. So with that said, I'm
Yo, what's up with the poncho? Did I miss y'all discussing?
You missed all of that.
Oh, my bad.
The whole Mexico story, all that. Yeah, he was late. But we'll talk about it.
Can I offer you your flowers? Because
Oh.
We must stop for this compliment from Kamal.
The big pregnant pause on that one. Yeah, it was.
Right. I tried and failed miserably to hold the show last week. And I think there was obviously a missing element with you not around. So I appreciate all the work that you do as a producer and DJ. Wow. Your presence was missed sincerely. And so I'm so happy to have you back, my brother.
Wow.
I just sat back feeling and looking like this.
Wow.
I appreciate you too, bro.
I mean, you did used to sell it, so you should, yeah.
And it's punctuated by that nice beep from somebody's dying fire smoke detector.
That'd be mine. That would be mine.
So,
I appreciate that, and I appreciate all y'all. I appreciate all y'all work y'all did and put in this last week, and the work y'all continue to do when I'm not around. So with that
speaking
said,
of which, Kamal, you gave him this compliment. Ear Doctor's trying to be slick. He got himself a new gig, and he's trying to slide out of here early on these mornings now. We got to watch this.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you missed that part
what's
too.
What's going on with you?
Yeah, now there we go. Let's bring it back.
Oh, all right.
Now
Here
let's
we are.
go. Yes.
Here now.
All right. Well, listen. If we can, let's go ahead and slap the map, and then I got the another speaker I want to start the news segment off with. We got one more top tier speaker to start the news segment off with. So let's. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Remix Morning Show. As we move into the news, like, share, subscribe, support Patreon, blackpowermedia.org for more. Put this in your socials, do all those things. So we were talking about great speakers, and in the context of all the world's news and the conflict or the occupation and ongoing abuse and genocide in Palestine, with even rallies popping up even out here today in these tree-lined streets in Columbia, Maryland, and tomorrow in Baltimore and all over the world. We did have one top-tier speaker living on arrival having some thoughts about where he says Black people are and are not. And I thought this was
talking about you unapologetically African, but you afraid to say that you worried about your people's problems. Ain't nobody helping us. You got 27 million Africans in the Congo, displaced, environmental issues, hunger, poor health care. You got 1 million Ethiopians who've been murdered. You got Sudanese who have died. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Sudanese. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Ethiopians. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Congolese. But you want me to cry tears for the Arabs? Listen, I hope the Arabs in the West Bank in Gaza, I hope they get all they get. I hope they are protected. I hope nobody dies. I hope those babies' lives are safe. I hope the women are cared for. I hope that there's no bloodshed, no violence. But if you think I'm going to take time out of struggling for African people, if you think I'm going to stop my agenda to liberate my people to go cry for people who don't cry for me, if you think talking about you unapologetic.
So that was the all that I had from the clip. I thought I had the whole thing, but I guess not. But you get the gist. Dr. Umar Johnson. First, content aside, can't deny he's a compelling speaker, I think.
I don't disagree. I don't. I've seen him speak. He's got a gift for gab, although it's hard to get by all the nonsense. But oratory skill wise, I definitely believe he has a gift for gab. Yeah, and he just turns it on. Yeah. He just turns it on, like, you know, it just flows.
My required comment. I've only seen a little bit of his speaking, but yeah, it's like you were saying earlier, Jared. I think as long as you have like the oratory skills to, like, you know, whip up some emotion, it almost doesn't even matter what you're saying. And I think that's why reactionaries get platformed a lot, is because they have that ability to whip people up into a frenzy. And if you're kind of like, you know, genocide, stop it, period. Like, that's not as inflaming as, you know, nobody loves us, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my thought.
Yeah. I'm not sure why we can't walk and chew gum at the same time either, in terms of organizing, but that's
yeah. Well, your last word is where I pick up with what Dr. Johnson is saying, and in that, and sort of to the point that when Ricky's asking why do we platform reactionaries, I don't know that sharing a clip in the context of critique and news is platforming, but I get the gist. For me, my initial interest is that he's a very popular figure, and literally just yesterday again in class, he is brought up in my classes. I am asked about him. He is everywhere. I saw Mark Lamont Hill commenting. I saw the video getting circulated all over the place. Why I like that we do it here is that we get to add a little context or critique in this specific sense. For me to say where Kamau ended on the word organizing, my question is if the point, I agree, we can do both. And while I do appreciate the sentiment of reminding the world of all of the African struggles that do get under-attended to, even among the left, I do appreciate that. I think that's the problem I have with him doing it, is that it feels more about distinguishing oneself.
It feels more about him than the people that he's even talking about, right?
And then I would want to ask, where's the organizational vehicle he's involved with that's doing the work on behalf of Black people? Or how does he define organizing? Does he define the public work that he does as organizing? The one time the one of the few times I've been in a space with him, that was my question to him in the Q&A. What is your organizational vehicle? And he did not, he was like,
he hubba bubba. He did his rhetorical flourish and had you forget what you were asking about in the first place.
And then it was more, it just leads you back, whether it's overtly said or not, it leads you back to buy his books, follow his lectures. But then there's no, so I don't know, I don't see where it's not feeding into anything. You know, support his school. Is the development of this school him addressing the organizational needs of the African world and the thousands and millions of Sudanese and Ethiopians? Is his school for boys part of the plan to address all of that? Or, you know, in other words, I would just like to see that laid out more. That has always been my biggest issue with him, more than any of the other specific points that I don't agree with. So that would be so good. Then I can just clip this, because for my class, I'll just say, you know, watch and this is what I think, because I'm constantly asked. He is very popular among people that I think we intend to reach. So I think it is important to acknowledge that he has said something at times, and we might want to add something.
Yeah, you can't always ignore, like, you know what I mean, somebody who's rhetorically right or reactionary, particularly if they are gathering, like you said, if they're reaching people. If you ignore it, then then even if you don't think if you ignore it, then this is almost like there's no counter to it. So it's not so much I think we should spend all our time reacting to reactionaries, but that is part of the struggle. Part of the struggle is countering a voice that you think is not delivering real information or leading people to do anything like organizing wise. So, and we do it against, we should probably obviously need to spend more time doing it against the state, because the state has all the power. But there's also people to our right who are in a different area of disorganizing us that also at times need to be addressed.
So why don't we, instead of just bashing the brother, I think what we do here at BPM is much more supportive and developmental. So let's help Dr. Umar and others in their assessment. So one way to use the popularity of this ongoing crisis in Palestine to help bring attention to the African world might be a story like this that Sister Erica has provided, that if we say, look, this war is making Wall Street money, Morgan Stanley and TD Bank hope for aerospace weapons boon after 7% value increase after the start of this Israel-Hamas conflict, as The Guardian is calling it. So if there's war, if there's military and Wall Street profit to be made from this conflict, then Dr. Umar could possibly say, listen, if you're going to be focused on the Arabs, as he said, then at least acknowledge that this is going to lead to more money for the military machine and AFRICOM to use against our people on the continent. All right, how does that? And Dr. Umar, you're welcome for that little bit of assistance here from the Remix Morning Show. The United Nations has warned that there was clear evidence that war crimes may have been committed in the explosion of violence in Israel and Gaza. Meanwhile, Wall Street is hoping for an explosion in profits. Oh, that was bars. That was well done. Who wrote that? Eli Clifton. Well done, Eli. Well done. During third quarter earnings, sorry, go ahead, Kabal.
No, I was going to say, read that part. That part you're about to read. Yeah.
During third quarter earning calls this month, analysts from Morgan Stanley and TD Bank took note of this potential profit-making escalation in conflict and asked unusually blunt questions about the financial benefit of the war between Israel and Hamas.
Wow.
The death toll, which so far includes more than 8,000 Palestinians and over 1,400 Israelis, wasn't top of mind for TD Cowen's Kai von Rumor, managing director and senior research analyst specializing in aerospace industry. His question was about the upside for General Dynamics, an aerospace and weapons company in which TD Asset Management holds over $16 million in stock.
Damn.
That's wow. Yeah. So Biden has asked Congress for $106 billion in military and humanitarian aid for Israel and Ukraine. I'm sorry to be laughing. I don't mean to be laughing. I keep doing that. I just it's a crazy response. Yeah. But the money could be a boon to the aerospace and weapons sector, which enjoyed a 7% point jump in value in the immediate aftermath of Hamas's 7th October attack on Israel and the beginning of Israel's bombardment of Gaza in response. Okay, there we go, back to the standard framing. Gaza, Israel was only responding. So yeah, I mean, there's obviously more here in the article, but just money.
No, I love the bluntness of it. I always love. I wish somebody had an audio tape of them talking, just salivating over the amount of money that they can make, because Congress is going to pass the bill, and that money, that money will go straight to the arms makers to make more munitions to send to Israel and Ukraine. So it's just straight up for them. It's a straight up profiteering time, or it's a good for business time. So and just the bluntness of it is like we Who cares? No mention of who's dying. Obviously, they don't care. All they care about is, hey, can Hamas keep this going for a couple more months so that they can, you know what I mean? Like, in a way, that's what they're thinking. Real, they're like we know Israel has a lot more weapons that we've supplied, but if they can get this going for a couple of months, for the third and fourth quarter, our profits will even double more, because then there'll be another our lobbyists will go and say they should pass another bill for another $100 billion or whatever, and we'll get 34% of that, and our stock will. I mean, they're thinking through all of that, and that's all they care about.
I mean, this next paragraph here, where you see the relationship between Morgan Stanley and Raytheon. Morgan Stanley's head of aerospace and defense equity research, Christine Liwag, took a similar approach to the conflict during Raytheon's 24 October earnings call. Looking at the White House's $106 billion supplemental funding request, you've got equipment for Ukraine, air and missile defense for Israel, and replenishment of stockpiles for both. And this seems to fit quite nicely with the Raytheon defense portfolio, said Liwag, whose employer holds over $3 billion in Raytheon stock, a 2.1% ownership share of the weapons company. So $3 billion is only 2% of the ownership of the share of. Wow. So what's the math on that in terms of the overall value of the company? If 2% is $3 billion, am I reading that correctly? And
yeah.
And that's just what Morgan Stanley has. So we got big banks, big, and then of course the former Raytheon dude is Lloyd Austin is the Secretary of Defense. So it's
I was just going to say, yeah. And then look at the revolving door of it is like the military leaders and/or the politicians who will go from being those politicians and lobbyists to getting jobs at those companies, either in the executive suite and/or as lobbyists, will get paid literally millions of dollars to make sure that the cash keeps flowing. That again, and obviously the United States has the biggest military in the world, spends more per capita than like the top 20 or so militaries combined in the world. That's one bucket of money. The other bucket of money is what the United States sells overseas to places like Israel and Egypt, which is the second largest receiver of U.S. recipient of U.S. aid, so-called aid, and other places, of course, too. So they're going to keep that rolling. So it's all about keeping it. And the scare tactics, China's our next big enemy. And it's not so much, obviously these folks have also ideological linkages to this, but it's the profit making part of it also that's always a part of like the calculus or whatever. Like, let's drum this up a little bit. Let's push this. Let's get some good articles coming out. Like, who's writing for us this week? Who's pushing this war thing here? Well, like, we need to be scared of this one, whatever. So that's all. It's a big machine, and like you said, it's not a $1 million machine. It's not even $1 billion machine, right? It's a multi-billion dollar, $100 to $300 billion machine that we're talking about, if not more than that.
So to Leah's question, I don't know if Lucretia, if you all have seen Richard Medhurst's analysis on this particular issue. I've not seen it on this particular issue, although I saw that I have been, routinely checking in on his work, and I saw he got, I think, demonetized or removed from YouTube or something.
Oh,
recently.
I
Did I not see? This was maybe a week or two ago. I'm a little bit.
Can one of you speak about a little bit about who he is?
Richard Medhurst is a Christian Syrian reporter, I believe.
I think so.
Who was born and raised in Europe, speaks like 7,000 languages, and does a lot of reporting on what is it, Iranian? What is it? Was it Press TV or one of those outlets? And then, of course, has his own popular YouTube channel. And has good production value on his YouTube channel too, by the way, just to add that in there. So yeah, and the only thing I admit some pettiness in being hesitant to check back in before this most recent upheaval is over the political prisoner request. I was like, I had, he was one of the people I was asking, for all the discussion of Julian, can you say a few words about Mumia and everybody? But But other than that, no. So, but in general, I think his analysis is fantastic, and I think I just haven't seen this particular issue covered. So I don't know if that's what Leah was.
So YouTube deplatformed him?
There was something like that. I have to.
Oh.
He reported something to that effect. They either I think he was still. They didn't remove his channel, but I think they demonetized it. But I'd have to double back on that, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
folks in the chat are saying he's on Rumble.
Okay.
Oh, he's
so
moved to
that
Rumble.
sucks. That sucks because I already, being able to glance at the back end of this, that's a drop. That's a huge drop, even for someone like him. I think that's going to be that sucks. But I'll have to go over and support him on Rumble. Although, damn.
I haven't seen this piece about funding Taiwan, but I do remember that horrifying graph that Ben Natey, BB, showed a few weeks ago at the UN of this red line through Saudi Arabia up through this railroad that he wants to build. And so if you remember that, he brought out this chart
No,
and
I
he just
don't.
drew a red line and was like, this is what we're building. Palestine seemed to be suspiciously absent from this map. So they are completely out in the open with how they want to colonize this land. And I think it's just shocking for some people to, I don't know, maybe they didn't expect the naked colonialism. They think that that was something still happening or that happened in the 19th century and not now. But yeah,
That's
it's not
the thing
shocking.
about and that's the thing about Israel has always been clear with the naked colonialism. It's just that the cover is the Western media will pick and choose what it shows in order to give Israel cover. It's almost like they think of them as like we need to protect them from themselves. Because any videotape that you see, I mean, there's so many videotapes now. And it's one of the for all the harms or issues that we all have with social media. So, one of the best things about it is that it takes away that filter that Western media likes to act as if they're Western media provides in terms of what content gets shown, what gets echoed, what gets lifted up, the perspective of it, and so forth. Clearly, the propaganda value of it, and so the ability of social media to say like, boom, these are some of the things that has happened. These are actual interviews of Israelis and soldiers. There's this horrific video of an Israeli tank dragging a Palestinian body, and in which they commented, people were Israelis, so-called news reporters were commenting positively on the fact that this body was being dragged. Nothing in the New York Times. Instead, the New York Times is having some article about how people rushed the airplane because they thought some Israelis might have been on the plane. No one is hurt. But they're completely ignoring this video, which has been passed around literally 100,000 times on social media, no commentary whatsoever. So basically what the media does is give them a cover of like, some high government official called Palestinians human garbage, or they're not human. Yeah, let's not put that out there. Let's just say the first line of their statement. And they do that over and over again. But the Israelis, phew, if you did, and I haven't even dug deep into their propaganda, but you dig into their statements, they are clear. For them, Israel is all of so-called Palestine, all of Palestine, so-called Gaza, West Bank, parts of Syria, parts of Jordan, all of that, and they want the Palestinians either to be swept off the earth, or moved to Jordan, or pushed out to Egypt. That is their ultimate overarching goal, which they've clearly made plain over decades, even over the first taking of the land. It just like whatever the United Nations did, that's just the beginning. They were very clear around what their intent is. It is the Western press that continually gives them cover so that they don't kind of only expose themselves as white supremacists, and it's harder to protect them, right? Just like it was harder to protect the apartheid South Africa government after a while. Now, they're trying to make sure it doesn't reach that limit for Israel, and try to do as much protection for them as possible.
So perfectly right on cue. I just got a couple of text messages. One, shout out to Son of None, who's right on cue asking if I'm available to speak at the rally tomorrow in Baltimore. And I was like, I said, I'll be there, but you don't want that. I'll be there. I said, I'll do it, but I was like,
great speaker.
No, I'm not. But I said, I'll do it. He asked, and I said, I'll do it. I said, I'll
it's a tough crowd, you know.
I'll do it.
You got to come correct with your analysis.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a tough crowd, but it's just, oh boy, it's just not. That's just not. This is. We all have lanes, and I just know where mine is.
So I'll give you 3 minutes. Take your 5 minutes.
3 minutes, 5 minutes.
Just do it, huh? Come out.
90, a quick 90, a strong 90 seconds. A strong, what's up? Free the people, and I'm out. But I also, shout out to Ricky, the producing from the chat, suggested we check out a little bit from Richard's, one of his recent, it's 8 minutes. We're not gonna play the whole thing, but check out just a little bit of what he's had to say over the last few days here. This is, I think, a few days.
I don't think people have any idea what's really happening in Gaza and why it is happening. A few weeks ago, right before this war in Gaza ignites, Netanyahu goes to the United Nations General Assembly and he holds up this map and declares his plan for a new Middle East. And people are going, what is this stupid line this guy's drawing with a red marker? What it is an economic corridor that stretches all the way from India to the United Arab Emirates, into Saudi Arabia, into Jordan, Israel, and then finally to the entire European continent. I mean, the United States at this point, seeing their influence starting to fade, seeing the relevance of the dollar recede after they stole $300 billion from Russia. You have all these spooks in Washington and Tel Aviv, you know, running around desperately trying to counter BRICS and counter China's new Silk Road. And this is their answer. This is a rival to the new Silk Road. Remember, the ancient Silk Road is the largest, most important trade route in human history. This thing is enormous. It stretches all the way from China to Syria to the Mediterranean Sea. The Chinese know how important this thing is and they want to revive it. It is the future of world economics, trade, and politics. Within the span of a few weeks, Iran and Iraq have signed a railway deal. So now you have a rail link for the new Silk Road. And President Assad of Syria, who the West have been trying to isolate for over a decade, is now visiting China, the world's largest economy, and signing a strategic partnership. This is pivotal. So now the new Silk Road has rail access all the way to the Mediterranean Sea through Syria's port in Latakia. So not just land, but maritime trade. This is crucial. And as enormous and important as all of this is just one aspect. This is just one aspect. You still have the gas. How can we talk about the Middle East without talking about gas and oil? When the US instigated the Maidan coup in 2014, that wasn't just about NATO expansion and encirclement of Russia. This was about surrounding, controlling, and cutting off Russian gas to Europe. Russia is the country with the largest proven reserves of natural gas. Control Ukraine, and you control the pipelines that feed and supply Russian gas to Europe. For decades, you've had US politicians, Republican and Democrat, from every administration, openly saying on camera, we don't want Nord Stream.
There will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
You want to have pipelines that don't go through Ukraine and Russia. For years, we've tried to get the Europeans to be interested in different pipeline routes. It's time to do that. You want to depend more on the North American energy platform, the tremendous bounty of oil and gas that we're finding in North America.
Lo and behold.
So forgive me, I don't know if there's ever a good spot to stop it other than playing the full 8 minutes, but I thought we might end there on that perfect display of Black excellence here on the Remix Morning Show with Condoleezza. But again, shout out to Richard Medhurst. And I mean, the analysis and again, that production quality, god damn, she's monstrous. But the
analysis was excellent.
The analysis was even better. So but you know, there's no reason to focus on all of this because this is just about the Arabs and it's not specifically about African people. So
yeah, there's no linking to the larger world whatsoever. And then I think the thing that they were trying.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Say what you're going to say. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it's so fascinating listening to the discourse that this only started happening on August or October 7th, for example, and like there's no history before that, and it's just this like who are the Palestinians then? Are they just this magical people that were sort of existing and then I don't know, they just kind of got in the way and no, and so this has captured so many people. And especially when you get the anti-Semitic tropes thrown at you when you're trying to object to all of this. And but in the meantime, Netanyahu is irresponsibly quoting First Samuel, talking about Amalek and destroying the Palestinians, you know, by killing every goat, man, woman, and child, and saying that, you know, this isn't a religious conflict, as in there is a religious aspect, but we can listen to Jewish people on the ground who are saying Zionism is not Judaism. And here he is just inflaming this and using religion as a, well, as a tool, really, in this Zionist project.
Is wow, that's is there a better context to help? Is there a better interpretation of First Samuel? Or is he quoting it accurately and applying it inaccurately, or is there? I'm just curious if there's.
I mean, yeah, I feel like there's always a better interpretation than that. But I mean, he's falsely equating people who now have citizenship as settlers within the Israeli state to this to the ancient people who were there, and it's like that's not the same thing. And so to equate the two is misleading for people. And then to say that there is no sort of religious element is wrong because, I mean, I think to me, I feel like that's one of the biggest, I don't know, heartbreaks of for Jewish people who were sold this narrative of Zionism and using that grief of the Holocaust to get people to sign on to this project so that generations of their people become settlers. And you know, taking that real need to feel safe, and turning that into a colonialist project. You cannot build a new nation on top of the heads of other people, and that's.
So that's interesting because again, the version, and I cannot or have not corroborated it, but the version I was raised with was that in my family, pre 1900s. Because my grandmother was born in the 1890s in Palestine, having her parents having been, from their language, tricked to emigrate from Eastern Europe, not on the basis of religion, but on the basis of creating a socialist utopia and a freedom for Jews. So even to add to your point, to challenge the narrative Netanyahu is pushing religiously, or this abuse of religion. There was the abuse of the politics as well in the Zionist project to lure Jews and others out of Eastern Europe and into, or other parts of the world, into what would become the state of Israel. So I just think that that's interesting. It's one way or another. We're going to get you here, and you're going to be turned into a colonial project, like you're going to be turned into a colonial weapon. So whether we got to get you here through socialism or Judaism,
or money,
or money, or whatever, just you know, by hook or by crook, we're going to get you here, and you're going to oppress these people, and we're going to, you know,
we're going to take all this land. Yeah.
So.
But that, I mean, I think that's what made the reporting so. The Medhurst piece, because I was going to say, you know, Netanyahu is famous, of course, for bringing bad pictures to the United Nations. Like last year, a couple of years ago, he brought the bad kind of Wile E. Coyote bomb figure of like Iran trying to get a so-called nuclear weapon. And then this time, I think part of the picture that he was shown had no indication whatsoever of a Palestine. You know, not only in not even the fantasy two-state solution, right? There was just nothing there that had Palestine on it. So they're, you know, and they're their belief, obviously, again, is that there is no Palestine. It's only Israel, and all that landmass is theirs. And again, and because of the way the West is moving, they are continually pushing Israel and places like Saudi Arabia. They've already succeeded with Egypt for decades, with Jordan for decades, the smaller Middle Eastern countries, the fiefdoms or kingdoms or whatever. So they're just continually pushing one step at a time toward this recognition process that, again, in their sort of big picture or big war strategy, is a counter to what Medhurst was bringing out is the challenge of China, right, and or the challenge of Russia. So it's isolate these other nations, cut off their ability to develop economic streams that are not dependent on the West. And again, the way he brought in the situation around Ukraine was perfect, because it's all about not only blocking Russia or having a military right at Russia's border, but it's cutting off its economic life, right? Particularly to Europe, to the rest of Europe, which wants to do deals because it's cheaper oil, but because of their relationship with the United States, in the end, they're going to bow for the most part. And as was mentioned in the chat, literally blow up the pipelines, and again, have Western media not cover one of probably the hugest environmental disasters, man-made completely, by blowing up a pipeline and no coverage whatsoever, only faint supposition around how it happened, blaming the Russians themselves, when the technology and the ability to do that lie squarely in what Washington can pull off, and other militaries are not in a position to do it. But again, the media just acts like, hey, this is not happening. So it's incredible the way things are going. The way in which the media covers these things and or doesn't cover it for the purposes of furthering Western interest.
All right, so it's 9:00 right here at the Remix Morning Show. The ear doctor has abandoned us, but has left us a little life raft here or there to help us through the rest of this morning. But as we transition out of here, just real quick, if anybody is still confused as to why we need to be paying attention to the ongoings in other parts of the world and other people's struggle,
you just don't read, beloved.
So, all right, back in a minute on Remix Morning Show. We're going to take a quick ear doctor break. Don't go nowhere.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out. This is no other than the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Please make sure y'all hit that like, that subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, go to patreon.com, become a member over there. And listen, we are happy to have you. All right, with that said, we're going to go ahead and get to an artist spotlight. And who did I want to talk about today? Let's keep that beat going a little bit right there. Let's talk about no other than the 45 King. Now, let me tell you about the 45 King, also known as Mark Howard James, also known as DJ Mark, the 45 King. He's a hip-hop producer and DJ from the Bridonks. In the 80s, he came out being that DJ that everybody was like, yo, he got some things going on. And then he got into some production. He got his name for making break beats off 45 RPM albums, records, you know what I'm saying? The smaller records, the smaller joints you throw on the turntables. So he came out with this track, the 900 number, in 1987, and it blew up. It got him on Tough City Records. He got a production deal, and then later on he went on to get some artists from the Flavor Unit and started working with some production with Chill Rob G, Lakim Shabazz, Apache, Queen Latifah. And then he signed to Tommy Boy Records and got her Queen Latifah All Hail the Queen album out there and did a lot of production on that and was very big. A lot of people were like, yo, he killed that album. So in 1989, The King Is Here, the 900 number, also peaked over in the UK. So it was a pretty big song that came out. A lot of people was rocking to. A lot of people sampled it too. But in 1990s, he got caught on some drug addiction and wound up getting knocked off his label. But he did get to do a remix for Madonna, the song Keep It Together. And then later he came back and started working with some other people on production. A song that was resampled and used was DJ Cool, go-go artist, also the DJ out of DC, with Let Me Clear My Throat. He straight up grabbed the song, and then 45 King wound up doing a remix for him. And after that, he did Hard Knock Life with Jay-Z. He did that track, and he also did Dido, Eminem track that came out. So he did a bunch of things, and also did Stan. You know, Stan was the Dido song he redid. But he did a bunch of tracks. A lot of people he worked with, talk about Ghostface, Fat Lip, Diamond D, Common Sense, Rakim, PMD, MC Light, Lock It. That's just, the list goes on and on. But the brother passed October 19th, 2023 at the age of 62. So rest in peace to that brother. Thank you for your contribution to this hip-hop thing we do. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do. Let's get it.
So that beat right there, that Hard Knock Life beat, 45 King did that. I appreciate Ear Doctor bringing that up. And it's unfortunate that I find myself in these little squabbles I constantly do, because when I was at the Real News Network, I did an interview with Stephen Janis, who's a reporter there, and elsewhere. But the reason I did the interview with him was because Stephen Janis, who is this, as we talked about, you would look at him as this tall, lanky, odd-looking white guy. He worked with 45 King and was the I think owner of the label that 45 King was on when he produced that beat, and he was in the room when that beat was put together and transferred to Jay-Z. So it was an interesting conversation to have with this guy, you know, and he had worked with and it was on the same label with DJ Cool that Ear Doctor talked about. And I mean, so it was very interesting conversation. I just did a quick look to see if I could find the video, and they of course took it down because
Is he a reporter? He's a reporter, right?
He's the reporter there. He and Taya Graham are partners in life and in reporting, and they have they even produced a documentary recently. We're trying to get shown out here in my village board. But yeah, they do a lot of good reporting. Very interesting couple, and he got a very interesting background. And when we were working there, we were having this side discussion. He was like, "Yeah, I used to work 45 King, and that Annie beat this, that, and the third." I was like, "Get the out of here," because you look at him, you're like, "Stop playing!" Like you don't even look like.
You don't give me a vague hip hop feel whatsoever.
You don't even look like the white boys that would be at the show. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't look like it's none of it was really weird. But he's an interesting guy. So it was a fascinating conversation. And I'll just throw it out there. I know I have a number of squabbles with people out there, but it is really unprincipled for people to take away good work just because you don't like me. Like, it's not like I'm not doing something. I haven't done anything worthy of whatever. So if it's just personal, you should still run the work. You know what I mean? Like the work is like, damn. So but that was, yeah. So anyway, rest in peace to 45 King. You know what I mean?
True. I don't like these segments because I can't comment on the Ear Doctor without him being here. Like I had stuff to say about that shirt.
Yeah.
A couple of things. I mean, I had a whole lineup of things, and then like, oh, poof, he's gone. So this is the regular schedule now? This is it?
I don't know. He was being New Jersey slick with it when he was explaining it to me. So I'm not really sure, but it sounded like we're going to have to get used to him being here to get us started, and maybe, but you know.
Every now he's going to dip. Damn.
Oh, see, you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying.
It sounded good in that clip that you showed us.
This is what I'm saying.
A couple months ago.
This is what I'm saying. I don't mean the good work of the great legendary band. I'm talking about just in general. Your boy, I have produced something of value in this world.
Absolutely.
No, so Yeah,
I actually brought you up in one of my classes, Jared.
Hold up, look, yeah, I appreciate
Right, you
you,
brought
but
him up
come
in
out
your,
with it.
what'd you say? What'd you say about
Well,
him?
my class was about multi-religiosity, and so I wanted to do my paper on how the people who were in the Nation of Islam viewed themselves as like an actual religious movement and not just sort of how they were characterized in the media. That they felt that it was a real religious movement or identity and not just a political organization. And so I was like, well, I was reading the work of Dr. Ball, who does a lot of good work critiquing, et cetera, et cetera. So I brought your work up because one of the sources, and I can't remember now, my teacher mentioned to me, and I was like, Dr. Ball had some things to say about them. So
Who
yeah,
was it?
and
Who was it? No, I'm just playing.
I'll think about it. I can't remember, but I did bring you up. I was like, I can't leave this. I can't. So it's in my teacher's ear now. So
Well, I appreciate that,
Have
despite
you brought me
Kamal's
up
hate.
in class?
no. You're my
Dang,
media
that's-
person, Kamal. When I think of like how something should be said, I'm like, what would Kamal say? What would Kamal do?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
What would
accept.
Ricky
I
do?
appreciate
These are all people I
Ricky.
think
Ricky
about.
who? Ricky.
Stop
Oh,
it.
I'm just saying levels. There's levels. There's levels.
Stop it. Everybody's needed, okay? We're all needed.
Facts. Mama's Biscuits is a legendary group. Well, one thing, just I don't know where you're going with that project, but I think, and I don't know if he's still in the chat, but I think I wanted to follow up on some text exchange we were just having to get my brother to come on here at some point for
Oh, that'd be great.
to do an extended interview about his life and his maybe life in the nation and the nation from his point of view. So we don't just, get a strict Diallo diet of anti-nation.
Oh my God, Diallo diet! I love it.
You can't, you gotta add, every diet needs its supplements. I'm a vegan. I gotta take my supplements here and there. So like even a steady Diallo diet might need a supplement here or there. So I'm gonna see if we can work that out.
Oh, that
And
would
then
be great.
and if folks are not aware, then people would get to see kind of what I'm talking about when he gets going. It's not like it won't be a lecture or a sermon, but you get to see what I'm talking about when my brother gets busy. So we'll work on that. And then and by the way, speaking of great speakers, again at 10 o'clock, Daruba's coming on to talk about the latest in police unions, and then unfortunately because. Well, the good news, unfortunately, I won't be on EYL Friday because me, Daruba, Robin Kelly, Sarah Haley, and Orasami Burton are going to be in Montreal doing a book launch panel for Burton's new book, Tip of the Spear, at the American Studies Association conference. Joy James is going to be up there, so it's going to be,
Whoa. You're not going to be on EYL?
I'll be literally in the air while that show is on.
Why would you do that though? I don't understand. I there has to be a conversation had. This Friday, I don't even care about I'm still talking. I don't even care about the remix, your appearances. Friday from 8 to 10, there's nothing that could interfere with you being on Earn Your Liberation. Is the show still happening?
Of course, the show. No, One Monkey Don't Stop No Show. They don't need me. They got Diallo. They got Geechee.
Should have Hiram come on.
I'm not mad at that. If Hiram is available, he's always welcome. But this is the event that I'll be at. Now the bad news is that I don't know the details, but apparently I have been denied permission to record the panel. And I'm not thrilled with that.
Are they recording it?
I don't think it is going to be.
Probably for their own purposes to put it up later or something like that.
That wasn't the version I got. I don't really have this. The version I got is that it's not a conference decision. So I'm not entirely sure what it is. So we'll see. Maybe I'll collect something outside of the panel. But they need an adult.
Jared is not the adult on that show. Let's just be clear. The closest thing, and I do mean closest, but not exact, Geechee, is the closest to the intervening
BYL
adulters.
and Renee,
Yeah,
I feel like Renee's
that's
there.
No, it's when the guests come on. If there's a guest
Mm.
or Diallo's wife.
Yeah, she might be the
maybe.
closest.
She might be the closest.
Are you and Robin Kelly good?
I don't know that we have any issues. I don't have any. I don't know. I don't know that we're good. I don't know him.
You always got to ask him questions.
Yeah, we've interacted only a couple of times.
We did beef segment earlier in the show come out. That's in the first hour.
Beef segment.
Well, I reached out to him. Now, remember, some years ago, I did the one time we were in person together. I was like, I was like, can I email you about? Can we talk about this Peniel Joseph thing? Because I was like, your praise for him in that book is just, Here
you go again.
So I did, and he was polite. We didn't really talk about it, but he was cool. He was just like, I get, he heard that I had a critique, and that, but that was, it was cool. I was cool. I used to be cool with Makani Themba, his sister.
Yeah.
So I've broken bread with them at a party at her house once. And then the only other thing was I was critical a little bit of the Hammer and Hope thing, where Kelly was saying, everyone else are armchair revolutionary. But there's I've taught his book, Freedom Dreams, in a class. I loved it. He's clearly essential as I don't have any real problems with.
Which one of his books is the one that does the Everything is Resistance? Is that Freedom Dreams? The slowdowns? Remember? I just remember
that part. I don't remember.
I can't remember where this is, but there's some. I think it is.
Says everything is resistance.
Well, like the slowdown, like during slavery, the slowdown, work stoppages, or he just like people walking slow or whatever. He just equated it all with resistance, and I thought it was a little too much. And I might be, maybe I'm going to get into a beef with him. I don't know, but I can't remember exactly. So.
And Ruth Wilson Gilmore, sorry, she's going to be on the panel too.
That's a dynamic. Yeah, I'm sure they got to record that. There's no way they're going to let y'all all get up there and not record it. That's got to be recorded. I would sneak in a recorder. I would do it. I just have somebody come in with you and just record it for like they do bad movies.
Nah, man, I don't do that, man.
Oh, you don't? Oh, my bad.
Nah, I'm not doing that. I call out faculty and colleagues who do that.
A word? Or you can't do that?
Oh, we were having a whole faculty thing a couple years ago where
thank you,
race rebels. Okay, right. Thank you, right. And we were supposed to be we were invited to have a session where we could raise concerns about our hierarchy with the president. And I caught one of my colleagues, who was a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, surreptitiously recording the meeting, which is illegal in the state of Maryland. It's illegal in the state of Maryland. And when I called it out, I was one punished. But
you were punished for calling out that somebody was.
It was added to the list of reasons why I should be removed from the school. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking about like a full-on auditorium full of people.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just like to work in these beats.
Oh, my bad.
I just be working stuff in. Just any crack the door, any little bit. Yeah.
So many of them.
But no, I wouldn't do that.
Every day there's a new one. Every day there's new ones.
In general, I'm very journalistic with that. I'm like, if people don't want to be recorded, I don't record it. I might complain. I might hate on them later, but I don't, I'm not gonna. I will. It is disappointing to me because I'm thinking the panel. It's at an academic conference. What would anybody say on an academic panel that they wouldn't want said or shared out anywhere?
Yeah.
So the two thoughts I had was that maybe someone would feel like, well, if Deruba's on the panel, maybe he's going to say something I don't want to be seen next to, sitting next to him while he says it, or maybe then I did honestly think maybe it's personal to me. They were like, nah, Jared just can't record it. Anybody but Jared. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. And shout out to Dr. Burton because he's written this incredible book. I was rereading it the beginning of it again for class, and then he's pulled together this panel of people who are luminaries, and I'm honored that he asked me to be involved, and they're coming together to do this for him. So that's.
You're a luminary. You're a luminary quality.
Come on now, not like that. Not like that.
At this stage, you're a luminary, B.
Come on, man. Come out, stop playing.
No,
I'm actually going to pile on with Kamal and Gree.
No. We're talking about I'm talking about in the academic world. When you look at Sarah Haley, Gilmore, and now Burton, and definitely Robin Kelly, you can't put me on the. You could maybe say he's an add-on in the lane after a Dhoruba, who's not traditionally an academic. But if we're talking about academics, you can't. I'm not even joking. I'm not even trying to. I don't. You can't. There's like you just said. There's levels to this. There's levels.
There's also quality to this. So I mean, I can write.
I just want to know what are the criteria? Like, are we talking about like volume or the like amount of time you've been writing? Because I find your works to be great. Like your contribution, like that just is what it is, right? Like we can say like, I don't know. I'm not trying to be funny.
Not only writing, like I listen to almost every media piece at some point that you do or have done. I will go back. I don't tell you this kind of shit, but I go back and I actually listen to your analysis, because when you speak on these panels, you usually have when you're not engaged in sort of petty arguments about what the point is, your analysis is extremely, particularly in the spaces talking about media. I've sat down and listened to your things over and over, and I could continue to do it over the years. Whatever, you have one of the best media analysis that I've ever heard in terms of this generation. So I seriously, like, all jokes aside, just like that. So even if they've written more and published more, it's to me, part of it is about the analysis, because you can write a lot, but if your analysis is like, I'm not calling out any names, but the answer is always love, then I'm not, then I can't just read that every, you know what I mean? Like, so I need something more analysis wise.
Can I also plug like a teacher who like isn't an asshole to you? I just really want to like thank you for like explaining things where you're not like talking down to people. I think we need so many more people willing to have the type of analysis that you and others on BPM have without being a jerk to you. So like I think it's so necessary. Like, it's one of the reasons why I'm here, because I appreciated the delivery and the ability to like be wrong and do critiques and like talk with people. I think it's so valuable.
Yeah. And in these public spaces, to debate in a way that even if you disagree, you're actually involved in a conversation and debate. You're not trying to demean people or call somebody stupid, right? You're actually taking in ideas and then giving honest responses, not sort of talking for rhetorical flush, but honest response. I think that's all of extreme value that gets underemphasized for particular purposes. And I don't think it's any mistake that other people kind of get lifted above, because I think it's really about the analysis, the attention given to responses and everything else. So again, when and all the nice talk with this, as long as you're not in your feelings, you are like the fantastic motherfucker. You're fantastic.
All right, thank you both very much. Thanks to the kind.
Don't get me wrong. I like it when you're in your feelings.
There we go. Okay.
That just adds to the drama.
But the petty is so fun.
Yeah, the petty is fun.
It's fun.
But it doesn't top the analysis. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, I am uncomfortable, but I appreciate it. But I do. I just want to say the only thing I do appreciate it. I really do. But I do also like to leave room for where I do struggle, which is organizing an argument in print or anywhere, writing the journal articles, doing the peer review journal articles, writing the kind of academic academic press publications that these folks have written. I think I just recognize that. Okay, all right. I'll just leave it there. I appreciate it.
People. Yeah, right. I mean, we all have our, like you said, there's things that people are they are. I mean, that's why they went into the profession.
Yeah.
Period, because they wanted to publish and be well-known academics and give half-ass analysis. So praises to them.
But did you see somebody was I lost the comment, was begging for you to give up here it is. Who's the love writer?
Oh, it's Cornel, of course.
Yeah, just
who I do like. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like Cornel. not only just as a person, I think he has his mind. I mean, I could never, which is why I'm not an academic or a philosopher or anything. I could not retain the type of knowledge that someone like Cornel West either partly innately and has also trained himself to give. I just disagree a lot with. I think the analysis sometimes falls short. And then the question for me is why, when someone knows all of that information, why does it fall short? So it leads me to believe that there's another something seeping in there that causes it to fall short. And that for me is the desire to be popular and to run in certain circles. And if you start giving your full-blown analysis, because you can't go as far as that person as he goes without understanding where the rest of that argument goes, but he chooses not to. Exactly. Yes, and Ricky's completely right.
Yes.
I can cut it all.
I was like, this feels like liberalism. Yes. Thank you.
Very true. Very true indeed.
But you and Jackie had him in that discussion the other day, and again, I couldn't help my reaction. But when I'm just when I just saw you building the legal argument leading to Nat Turner, and he just walked right into it and would just took the blow, put his chin out for the punch. I was like,
he don't believe that himself. He can't believe that himself. He can't believe that himself. He can't believe that he's about to pen a piece. They're talking about but Nat Turner is to blame for blah blah blah, or he can't. But he doesn't.
The violence on both sides.
The violence on he cannot believe that himself. Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing, and he was just like, I'm looking at the storm coming, and I don't care. I'm going outside without a raincoat and an umbrella, nothing. I'm just going in, whatever.
Because he has a whole other audience. He's got to relate to, which is the audience that helps put food on his plate or helps walk him, in my own estimation, that helps walk him through certain doors. But there's nothing about Cornel that makes me believe that he is somehow ignorant of the ideas that he holds. And what I mean by that is that I do think that there's a purposeful bent, as opposed to like he really believes all this shit. In my opinion, I know he obviously he would disagree with me strongly, but that's just my humble opinion on him.
All right, good people. In the last 30 minutes, anything you all want to get to? There are a number of stories that
I got one,
Sister Erica. But anything you want to get to? Sure.
Well, because I wanted to finish this because Biden is saving the day again. Nice. I was going to bring this earlier because of the ramifications about what this is. And so Biden administration outlines actions to address anti-Semitism on college campuses. And so obviously the big Western media or corporate media propaganda machine suggests that any pro-Palestinian support means one of two things. Either you're a Hamas terrorist supporter or you are anti-Semitic. There is no way you could possibly support the Palestinians on the face of a rational argument that they're being ethnically cleansed, their land is being stolen, that Israel is a settler colonial nation, and that should make sense to people. That cannot be. So any argument really for them goes back down to either you're supporting Hamas, as the BBC at one point said, like of the large Palestinian demonstrations, these pro-Hamas demonstrations. And I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with being in support of Hamas as a political actor in Palestine. But for the West, because of how Hamas is characterized, it obviously, the attempt is to lessen your argument for fighting for the liberation of Palestinians, supporting the liberation of Palestinians. So real quickly, it says the White House on Monday outlined a slew of actions intended to address what it called an alarming rise in reported anti-Semitic incidents at schools and on college campuses. And it says in the wake of the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel, of course. So just the framing. Again, I purposely chose the Hill article for that's the framing that the White House wants to happen, and that's the framing that the media obviously puts out there in support of the White House actions. Several departments across the federal government have taken steps to increase engagement and address concerns about an increase in anti-Semitism. A White House official said the Department of Justice, Homeland Security is working with state and local law enforcement and reached out to provide support directly to college campuses, which, translation is surveillance, surveillance, surveillance. So now students, again, will be surveilled. They'll be quote unquote outed. That means they'll be doxxed. They'll be having calls in with the administration. All these things are on the table because this is a way of trying to shut down pro-Palestinian marches and demonstrations and sentiments and discussions and arguments. And so some countries like France and Britain that have actually declared public support for Palestinians to be illegal and tried to stop marches and demonstrations from happening. Here, they have not gone to that direct route. But what they have done is, again, try to put out the propaganda that any support for Palestinians is anti-Semitic by its very nature. And because that's what they're saying.
Real quick, don't go because to be fair, and I don't think because Kamal with your biased anti-Zionist reporting, you're leaving out the part where it says that they're also concerned and want to specifically prohibit certain forms of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia.
Yes, it's both and. Yes.
Come on now. They're defending the Muslims too, so you can't. But just curious, did I miss it? What are they saying are the acts, these overt acts of increased anti-Semitism? Is it just the rallies and marches, or are people actually being accused of something else?
They say here that they're not giving specifics. They give one specific here, but there's been a handful of high-profile incidents on college campuses. And again, in the weeks since Hamas's terror attack on Israel, because that's where this all started, students last week projected anti-Israeli messages onto buildings at George Washington University. And that is considered, I guess for them, that's considered anti-Semitic, right? Schools, including Harvard and University of Pennsylvania, have lost donors and partnerships over statements seen as anti-Semitic or insufficiently supportive of Israel. I love that clarity. That's the clarity that we need.
Wow.
So honest.
Yeah. So
anti-Semitic or just insufficient?
Insufficient. Oh, we got to find the press person for the press secretary for the White House made a statement as like I forgot her name. She's a Haitian woman.
Yeah. She said something. Well, obviously she did, but
she said she's just going all out in terms of her. I mean, it's her role, of course, but you're always like, flummoxed when you see like this is a black woman, a Haitian woman.
Well, remember, she got plucked from first the Hillary Clinton circles and then MSNBC.
Oh, I don't know her background.
That's where I used to, because there was a time where I would have Morning Joe on as part of my morning routine. And she was one of the regular talking heads there. And that's where I learned that she had come out of the Hillary Clinton campaign. And then they took her from there to here. So it's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So this is short, so you can listen to it real quick about her.
Doesn't Biden think the anti-Israel protesters in this country are extremists?
What I can say is what we've been very clear about this. When it comes to anti-Semitism, there's no place. We have to make sure that we speak against it very loud and be very clear about that. Remember, what the president decided when the president decided to run for president is what he saw in Charlottesville in 2017. When he saw neo-Nazis.
So to be clear, she's comparing the protests for Palestinian sovereignty, human rights, not to be murdered, to the Charlottesville march of white folks saying we will not be replaced.
And that's when Biden has said to have made his decision, right?
Yes, of course. Yes, that's when Jim Crow Joe, well, formerly Jim Crow Joe, now Genocide Joe, decided to run for office. Yes, he was moved.
The streets of Charlottesville with vile anti-Semitic just hatred, and he was very clear then, and he's very clear now. He's taken actions against this over the past 2 years, and he's continued to be clear. There is no place for this type of vile and despite this kind of rhetoric.
We hear you guys, though, talk about extremists all the time. It is usually about MAGA extremists. So what about these protesters who are making Jewish students feel unsafe on college campuses? Are they extremists?
I've been very, very clear. We are calling out any form of hate. Any form of hate. It is not acceptable. It should not be acceptable here. And we are going to continue to call that out. And let me be very clear. This is a president that has continued to have that fight in his office, in this administration. You know, when he repealed Trump's Muslim ban on his first day in office, that is something that this president did. He also,
again, let's give that point for the Islamophobia Muslim. You always got to throw one in.
So establish an inter-policy committee to counter Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and related forms of bias and discrimination.
Don't take her off screen when she finishes.
Very, very seriously, from the president all the way on down.
That's it.
I just wanted to leave her on screen there because I admit it. I didn't realize this at least clearly until maybe a year or two ago. But when she's looking down, it's not at paperwork. It's a screen, like an iPad screen, with people giving her talking points with speech. Bullet point notes, all that. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to leave that on there because I honestly I didn't realize that they had taken it to that level of sophistication. It's just that much easier. Yeah, to just be like, no, say this, say that, move on. And because I was always wondering how do they remember all of the exact talking points for every issue that's going to get brought up? I know they drill and prepare, but it was I admit to being a little behind on that one. So that was it. I just wanted you yeah.
And those are the same talking points that was in the story we just read, right? So that how that gets.
So Hamas and Carolinian hillbillies are basically the same thing.
The same. They're the same. And that's what caused Biden to run for president.
Right. He was sitting around like, I don't got nothing to do. Oh, racism.
I'm good at that. I've fixed that. I can do that once more.
I do that. Right.
I do that. That's my bag. Please. Are you kidding me? This man said Haiti should sink into the sea, and I'm supposed to vote for him? Okay. I mean, no.
Well, he took the one Haitian. He took the one they need.
Haitian. He got one
now they
Haitian.
can all sing. The rest of them can sing.
The rest of them can.
I got mine. I'm good.
I can't wait for these Democratic operatives to, and this is like right on time, to start coming to folks about voting for Biden as the so-called lesser of two evils. It's just like I just can't wait for. I mean, we've seen anti-war demonstrations, pro-Palestinian sovereignty demonstrations, human rights demonstrations, again, not only here in the United States, but across the world, that are the largest they've been saying since the Iraq War. So this has obviously brought out a huge segment of people that this administration is obviously not only ignoring, but again, is trying to call out as being anti-Semitic for daring to stand on the corner of not having Palestinians crushed in their own land. And so that, I just got to see the spin factory is going to be to ignore all of that, particularly for the more sort of progressive versions of what they consider to be their constituency, but to ignore all of that and somehow to talk about, I guess that we have a Black woman on the Supreme Court, right? So I think that, I'm waiting for that to ramp up. And I'm particularly interested how it's going to be ramped up amongst folks who I know and support and like, because again, getting folks to vote in that sort of voting rights lane. How do you make that work at this particular stage? It's going to be really interesting to see how you put that back in the box.
It's billions. So what I think is interesting, and it's first of all, as I tried to catch up to a couple of years ago, it's billions of dollars that get trickled down through these PACs and Act Blue and all these other groups that go to the nonprofits and the so-called the AstroTurf whatever activist community. There's a lot, and then indirectly, the algorithm for anyone doing this YouTube thing or something akin to it in podcasting, is telling you, if you don't talk about the Democrats and don't promote the elections and get into a mainstream discussion of elections, you lose ad revenue, you lose subscribers, you lose. There was there was a popular YouTuber who was sharing with me a couple years ago what his numbers looked like when he was covering the campaign, and then after the campaign, the numbers. I mean, they were making enormous amounts of money just in the algorithm on that, not from any particular deal. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of inducements. It's going to be crazy. Next year is going to be just probably the worst. It's going to be probably worse than ever in terms of the whirlwind of money going out to encourage people, and then the quiet omission of those of us who would have a different analysis. I mean, that's the other part of it. You just get quietly disinvited or not mentioned or not interviewed. So it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild for sure. And yeah, I'm interested to see what they're going to say too. Genocide Joe.
Let's just ignore that. Let's ignore the weapon sales. Yeah.
Well, the White House got their Haitian or Black spokesperson, and apparently, according to this story, I didn't know this, but the new House Speaker, Mike Johnson, explains why he got his black son, his adopted black son. Johnson says the son who he took in when the boy was 14 asked to remain out of his public life, but they remain close.
I feel bad for that kid.
This is why is this making the first thing I'm thinking of? What was the Strom Thurmond, the daughter he sired and sort of disappeared into the black wilderness. Anyway, Rep. Mike Johnson was an obscure congressman before his sudden rise to prominence Wednesday when Republicans elected the Louisiana conservative as House Speaker. It ended weeks of turmoil after extreme right-wing GOP lawmakers ousted Representative Kevin McCarthy on October 3rd. One part of his personal life has raised more than a few eyebrows. Johnson's black son, Michael, who does not appear in Johnson's family photo with his 4 biological children. When the Speaker Johnson ran for Congress in 2016, he and his wife Kelly spoke to their son Michael, who they took in as newlyweds when Michael was 14 years old. Johnson's communications director Corinne Day told Newsweek, at the time of the Speaker's election to Congress, Michael was an adult with a family of his own. He asked not to be involved in their new public life. The Speaker has respected the sentiment throughout the career and maintains close relationship with Michael to this day.
I mean, this dude is really right wing. You know what I mean? Like he's like the Trump version, but maybe with something working in the brain or whatever like that. But he's
a functional Trump.
He's a functional Trump or whatever like that.
Dang.
Yeah. So yeah, but he's a hard right ideologue. So it's one of those things. Either your kid becomes like Candace Owens, I guess, or they're just like, just leave me to if they gain any level of consciousness, which you hope, they do, but who's good? Like, it's the world that we live in. Like these white folks feel good about themselves. They separate their actual racial ideas from the individual, and treat them like they're divorced from race in America, and raise them as much as they can to be just like in this sort of white world or white thinking, without thinking about race or economics or anything like how it affected their lives and why they would probably wound up in that situation in the first place. But I just get, that's a hard road, man. It's almost like this is a terrible thing to say. I might prefer to, if I had any consciousness about it, I'd rather not be. I might be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good in the adoption home.
I could see that. Well, in the adoption home, yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible. What's the choice? Like you're gonna live someplace like this, like 12 to a room or whatever it is, or you're going from home to home to home with surrogates. You're trying to time out, still trying to whatever, or some white dude with some resources comes along and says, I'll help provide and do whatever. And then you start slowly hearing some shit at the dinner table that
So that was the version I was hoping as I was reading that, because I don't know anything about this. I was hoping that, because they said he's an adult now, that he had said, look, I figured this out, I'm out. And I was hoping that the off the record conversation was absolutely not. You're not involved. You don't want me in that picture, and I don't want to be in that picture any more than you want me in that picture. And I'm not going to be some mascot. And I don't want maybe maybe he's quietly at CMB meetings now. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's quietly like I don't even want. I am totally away from. I have escaped. That's what I hope happened. And then they spin it publicly, not as the son saying. Maybe the agreement was if you don't come out calling me a racist.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the story we were talking about with that woman who was a fake nurse in Uganda who murdered these babies, and now has Ugandan children. This reminds me of like Queen Victoria's granddaughter. Like I don't know.
I saw the documentary. Is that that was crazy. I've never she had this crazy savior. She actually started performing surgeries and administrating medical procedures. Never went to medical school. At best, she watched Marcus Welby. I'm sorry to go so old school. She watched some TV show.
I don't even know who that is.
Kamal went all the way back to the foundation.
Sorry.
God damn.
Even when I said it, I was like, what other
old as dirt, son.
I don't
even know who that is.
Saint Elsewhere. What other doctor shows has there been?
Saint Elsewhere. You went back to Denzel's television career.
And then I went back more. I'm still back there. What's a modern day doctor shows or whatever?
Honestly, don't even know.
And I love
Chicago Hope.
Yeah.
Shit? I don't know.
Yes, she watched
Grey's
Chicago
Anatomy.
Hope. Grey's Anatomy. That's a good one. But she's literally administrating medical procedures on people without and then telling doctors. She was telling the African, the black doctors, not to do ABC, and then instead they should do it this way.
And she had a white nurse from her denomination, her church community, come and check it out. This woman was like, the doses look wrong, like.
Yeah, and they were like, what the hell is going on? People were like, what the hell is going on? And reported her. And she still kept on for years until the government was just like, okay.
She partnered after her first clinic closed down, right? She partnered with the government for a new one. So these are the African compradors that we always talk about, right? So.
And then she's able to keep these adopted children? Is that what you're
kept
also
her adopted
saying?
children?
Yeah, they're in the U.S. now. Yeah.
Never faced any criminal. So basically, her punishment was like, you got to leave and you can't come back. Because, you know what? You've actually killed children here by overdosing them with medicines that you didn't know what you were giving. Instead of not causing harm, you've caused more harm. You got to, the punishment, you got to leave the country.
Wow.
That's it. That was it.
And there was that organizer corruption aspect, too, because there was a white and Ugandan coalition. I think she's a Ugandan lawyer led by another white woman also who was from the community who was targeting her. But then she was found later to be misappropriating all the funds that they were getting, that they were supposed to be giving to these children. And they had a falling out.
Organization.
I think No More White Savior.
Yeah, it was exactly
something like that.
And she was the white savior in charge, or like part of the in charge. Yeah, it was that was an amazing sort of juxtaposition. It was like, wait a minute, she's part of the No White Saviors group, doing a lot of on-camera talking. I was like, oh, okay. And then that was hilarious that she, it had to be like as like some point if again any inkling of thought, resign the position before. But yeah, I know it's a great documentary. Like maybe tomorrow, I don't know if you, Lucretia, remember the name of it, but it was telling. It was like a surprise.
Yeah, if somebody does, I would like to see it. If somebody can, if you remember the name or the let us know. I would like to see that. That's.
I mean, she's administering medicine. Not no medical school, no nurse school, nothing. Marcus Welby, MD.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
And she went asking for money and said, "Ha ha ha, I don't have a medical degree, but I'm like doing this stuff, it's possible in Africa, What?
I'm sorry to take us here, but I just need people to realize what he's talking about here, how far back we're going. Like we're back into the 60s and 70s TV. This is like earliest childhood television.
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched
So
that show.
I can't say I
He made
watched it, but
house
I
visits.
know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that it's.
He made house visits. He saved lives on a weekly basis because it was a weekly show. A weekly basis, somebody's life was saved because of his intervention.
Wait a minute. I thought we just did a whole segment about anti-Semitism. Are you really suggesting we read Henry Ford's work on the International Jew? Are you serious?
I'm sorry.
I mean,
no.
I guess if it's important to read Mein Kampf to understand the mind of Hitler, but I mean, I hope that's the vein it's being encouraged here. Because I mean, good God, Henry Ford, please. Maybe making cars, he had something to say of value, but other than that, I
No
mean,
more white saviors, I think.
yeah, from cars to medicine.
Don't need it. Thanks.
Oh man, I do remember reading a Nation article many, many years ago where they talked about how U.S. soldiers in World War II, after capturing German outposts, would like remove the covers of German machinery and tanks and jeeps and see, Ford insignias on. Ford had made a lot of the stuff for them as well. So
I believe also, oh gosh, the German car manufacturer, Benz.
BMW or Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, I think they were also manufacturing bombs.
Yeah, and if you remember in the movie Finding Forrester, this is where I get all my good information about World War II in movies like this. But in Finding Forrester, they tell the story of the symbol of the BMW was the reason it has the two frames that are blue is because they were taken from the insignia for the plants that Germans were using to build airplanes. And then when they were denied access, I think as punishment for the wars, they weren't allowed to make military equipment, so they started making BMWs, and that's where you get the.
That was the punishment. Go make cars.
Go make cars that we all want. Go make, and of course with the Marshall Plan, I'm sure they got a good bit of funding to get started on that. So it was a nice little, it's. I mean,
Okay,
it's
I
good to
don't
be a
want to
colonizer. Yeah,
derail
go
the
ahead.
whole thing, but just because I'm a reluctant fan of the Fast and Furious saga, it's a long story. Like the 10th movie has such intense religious imagery. Dom Toretto is from Italy, has Italian ancestry. He has a son, and there's a whole father-son. There's a literal cross flying at the screen at one point. They're in Rome. There's a lot, and these movies did not always have that much religious imagery. I was kind of shocked. Like I have to go back and watch the other ones now just because I saw this one. But not to derail, we were talking cars.
No,
But
he's always big. He's always big on the cross. Like you always see Dom and them wearing crosses and stuff like that, and when they would do the imagery,
yeah, it was
going
a
to
little
Brazil,
bit.
you would see,
This
but not
the
like I didn't
last
see that.
one
Yeah.
was just, I mean, there were repeats of like "We are the Father" and the Son, and I was like, "Whoa, who's funding this?" So I haven't looked into it yet, but
But the
I mean, there's a lot we can talk about media.
director, who's been the guy the person who's responsible for the series, that they are extremely like Christian or religious.
Oh, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I want to
That's
look
why.
into
Okay.
it because that imagery was not as overt in the other ones.
Wow.
Also,
Yeah.
the villain is like queer coded, sort of. It's played by Jason Momoa, and he's also like there's like devil imagery in the editing, like so this queer juxtaposition that I was horrified by. So yeah, wow. And if you're taking that at face value, just as like a standard fan,
Which people do, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
that's the whole point of it. Can like if I need you to swallow this propaganda as you're watching car crashes, I've done, just the better for whatever it is like I'm trying to put out there. Yeah. I mean, and again, going back to wrapping up with the media analysis, it's like it's never just something neutral or whatever like that. People have definitely have the things that they're trying to put across, even in things that we think are simple, quote unquote, entertainment or supposed to take you away or whatever. You never know what's lurking behind it in terms of what people's values are seeping in there. And some is more overt, and some is better done. Like it sounds like this one was not that well done in terms of the overtness of it.
Yeah, I didn't see the but I saw some of the criticism discussion of the last film. So I saw, and there was even some discussion and a lot of criticism from the homophobic anti-wokers about the way Momoa played the character in Fast and Furious and stuff like that. You know, the whole thing of go woke, go broke is what they claim about Hollywood and everything else, even as Disney is making more money than ever, but whatever. Yeah, so that's interesting. I just saw, and a lot of the criticism, of course, so were they going, so was the imagery of them going into space in a previous movie part of them trying to make it to heaven? Because didn't Ludacris and Tyrese go into space in a previous?
Did they go into space?
In one of them they did. I've only seen, the only one I've seen in total is number 5, when The Rock first joined, because, you know, I'm all about supporting the bald and the beige. So when they brought The Rock and Vin Diesel together, I was like, I'm gonna have another walk in the sun. I was like, I'm gonna get another go round. I was like, you know, and then they started beefing with each other, and I was like, damn it. And it just ruined everything. But I haven't seen any of them other than that one. But I watched a lot of the criticisms of these films, and apparently they did go to space at one point.
Yeah, and they blow up. Oh, the villain, he blows up the Vatican also.
Oh, damn. That's pretty devilish.
That's pretty. Those queers are coming in, blowing up the Catholic Church. You know.
Oh, the queer devils are blowing up the Catholic. Dang! Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't know. It's deep.
Is this the only movie that Ludacris and Tyrese are in these days? These are their only movie roles that they ever get.
I hope so.
I think so. They just, this franchise for them keeps them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know what they do musically anymore or anywhere else. But they're not the best actors.
No, this is all the
so I think this is good for them.
That's why they were so protective, I guess, when there was the spinoff in The Rock. Didn't he do a spinoff? Like the producers had a spinoff, and that caused a lot of controversy in terms of.
Well, they did a spinoff with him and Statham, the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that either.
You don't know about this, Lucretia?
I did not know that.
How do you know,
that rings a bell.
About the spinoff? Have you watched all 10? I've not seen one. I've not seen one Fast and Furious movie at all.
So me and my friends, actually, this is embarrassing because as grown men, we went to the theater to see something else, and we ended up deciding to just go ahead and sneak into this one afterwards. So I did a double feature. This is, you know, when that movie first came out, and that's how I ended up seeing Fast 5. And I couldn't. I'll be honest with you. When I watched it, I could not tell if it was done on purpose or if it was accidentally this over the top and corny. Like it almost felt like The Rock was intentionally. I don't know. It was weird because the movie is so silly and so corny.
It's camp on purpose, right?
Camp, So I was like, they got to be doing this on purpose, but maybe not. I don't know. But then again, if they're launching cars into space, they were just like, fuck it. They're just like, I don't care. We just do it whatever because people go pay for it.
People come back over it. Hell, they've made 10 of them and spinoffs.
And they said more coming, apparently.
Yeah. This franchise might even be bigger than Star Wars.
Wow.
What?
I mean, 10 episodes?
Listen, on that note, look, I got to go because I don't want to hold up the Daruba conversation to talk about Fast 5 and Star Wars. No disrespect. No disrespect to us in the remix. But
let's leave
We
now.
must go. We must go.
I do want to jump over. We got one more Ear Doctor break to play on the way out. So thanks to the both of you. Thanks to the remixers. Thanks to Ear Doctor. And if you all can, come on back in a few minutes for this discussion of police unions with Daruba and all the other things coming up on the platform. Please make sure the bell is rung so you don't miss any of it. And then, of course, make sure that you out here not getting caught out by not.
You just don't read, beloved.
Yeah. Go read something. All right, everybody.
Peace.
Needs to be willing to fight for it, like Fred said. Thanks, Ear Doctor.
Follow me, yeah. Follow me. I'm hoping to see the day.
Can I get them bees in the chat? Bees in the chat. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Can all relate? We must stop fighting to achieve the peace.
Free Palestine.
That was taught in our country. We shall all be free.
It's 12 past midnight.
Hey.
Don't close your eyes.
Hey, hey.
Your soul's set for life.
Be love in the house. Black people in the house. Shout out to Ear Doctor for letting me come and rock out with y'all today. Let's go.
That you'll have to share. I want you love. I want it tonight. I'm taking your heart, so don't you hide. I'll bring you answer. I'll bring you wish. I'll bring you fantasy. You'll bring you gift.
Hey, be love.
The chills that you spill up my back leave me filled with satisfaction when we're done. Satisfaction of what's to come.
I came to rock with Ear Doctor. I came to rock with Ear Doctor. Hey, let's go.
Your groove, I do deeply dig. No walls, only the break.